symbolizes rebirth. It symbolizes the resurrection. How is that? It's actually a pagan ritual that goes back thousands of years. And even the name Easter, who knows where the name Easter comes from? Does anyone know? Besides maybe you? Do you know what it is? It's what? From the bird? The bird?
It came from the bird.
Birv. What's a birv?
Bird. That means.
B-I-R-D? Bird. You're wrong, Bagaong. Who else wants to give it a shot? Bam, do you know? That's correct. Yes, it was a pagan ritual dedicated to Ishtar. And so we don't even call it the day of resurrection. We call it Ishtar, Easter. And this shows what happens to a religion without guidance from a pure devotee of God. When you do not have guidance from a pure devotee of God, everything gets watered down and stupefied. Originally, the idea was that they would preach and they would hold Easter, or they would hold the resurrection, the day of the resurrection, on the same day that the pagans in Germany and England and other places would hold this pagan ritual for Ishtar, and they would invite, them to come and, oh, yes, we're celebrating Ishtar. We call it Ishtar. Yes, okay, we'll all celebrate Ishtar. This is when Christ rose from the dead. Did you know that? Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, okay, well, let me tell you all about it. It was a preaching tool. It was a preaching tool. And early Christians did that a lot because they're otherwise, it's kind of like us when we go to the mall and we say, okay, we're going to do yoga and everything, and we do a little bit of yoga, but then we try to work in the philosophy at the same time and try to get people interested in the actual philosophy of bhakti. But then it gets all watered down. Eggs and coloring and chocolate bunnies and Easter bunnies. This festival of Ishtar was a big orgy. And the bunny was like one of their things because bunnies procreate like rabbits. And so the whole thing was, just this big celebration of rebirth or birth or procreation or sex. So the Christians tried to work. It was a challenge. But now we don't even think of that. We just think of bunnies and warm and fuzzies and that sort of thing, going on an Easter egg hunt. But this is the danger, that your sentiment for the resurrection of Christ is watered down by a lack of understanding, a lack of philosophy. Now, going along with Easter is something called Lent. Who knows what Lent is? Raise your hand. You don't have to tell me. Do you know what Lent is? Nobody? You know? No? Nobody knows what Lent is? Really? Oh, come on. Even I know what Lent is, and I didn't even grow up in a Catholic country. But what I didn't know until recently was that Lent is not just, all my friends used to say, oh, I gave up cookies for Lent, or I gave up, I don't know, washing my clothes for Lent, or I gave up, candy for Lent. That's what I thought it was. You give up something and you dedicate that. It's kind of nice. But Lent is actually far more serious than that. Lent is a celebration of the 40 days and 40 nights that Christ spent in the desert. Lenten season is actually 40 days long. Did you know that? 40 days. And you're supposed to fast all of those 40 days. Well, not completely. They allowed one meal in the evening time. But it wasn't supposed to have any meat, fish, eggs, dairy, anything like that. It was just supposed to be vegetables and fruits. That was your Lenten meal. And that was considered fasting, and I can